A High Point University student is no longer on campus after an altercation, HPU's approach to the crime, and more.
We take a close look at the 2023-2024 housing portal process for returning undergraduate students. More on the important deadline dates to remember and the wide variety of housing options for next school year.
And the National Women's History Alliance has chosen to highlight the women in our media with the theme Celebrating the Women Who Tell Our Stories for this year's Women's History Month.
I'm Hannah Hutter.
I'm Cassandra Mishak.
I'm Riley Mannion.
I'm Mary Sosby.
I'm Danny Shea.
And I'm Elise Kobe. These stories and more, next on Q News. A violent assault within the gates of campus. What happened on this night and what will be done moving forward to keep students safe?
On Saturday, February 18th, a violent assault occurred on campus, leaving HPU students feeling uneasy and concerned about security measures. The assault occurred within a fraternity house, and a call was made to report a stabbing involving a victim being cut with a piece of glass. The perpetrator, later identified as Jonah Waxman, was arrested and then charged with assault with a deadly weapon. HPU senior Jack Conlon shared his thoughts on the assault.
Well, I think security needs to be a little bit more on it than they are now. I mean, the fact that somebody was able to get stabbed in the Pike House is a bit much, but...
Following the attack, HPU released a statement saying safety and security of all students are of the utmost importance at HPU. When HPU's campus police and security were notified of an altercation between two students, they responded immediately. The student accused of inflicting harm is no longer on campus, and we appreciate the work of campus security and High Point Police Department in this matter. For Q News, I'm Elise Kobe.
High Point University's campus security is available to contact 24 hours a day and can be reached at 336-841-9111 for any concerns about campus safety. Up next, Cassandra Mishak took an inside look at the housing portal process for the upcoming academic school year.
Yes, thank you, Elise. It is officially that time of year where returning students begin the 2023 to 2024 housing process. I was able to take a deeper look into the housing portal's important dates and possible upperclassmen living options for next school year. High Point University's 2023 to 2024 housing portal officially opened on Monday, March 13th for returning graduate and undergraduate students who are looking for a new living location. To participate in the online housing reservation process, students had to pay a $750 deposit by February 16th. Students who wanted to homestead their current spaces had to submit that request by February 20th, and students who wanted to pull others into their house had to do so by February 22nd. But on March 13th, students who have not been assigned to a room for next academic school year were able to log into the housing portal and create their potential living groups. The first week of time slots will be announced for each potential group on Friday, March 24th, and this is when you are able to rank your top living choices for next year. Some of the possible housing options for upperclassmen are the Greek Village, Caffey Hall, York Hall, Centennial Squares 1 and 2, and the newest addition, the Panther Commons. This is a very stressful time of the year for returning students, but majority have had a smooth process so far.
Currently, I'm a sophomore living in Greek Village, but next year as a junior, I want to live in Centennial. So I had to go into the housing portal, and I was really stressed out and nervous that I wouldn't be able to live with my friends, but it was actually super easy, and now I'm living in Centennial next year with all of my friends.
This is my first time going into the housing portal as a junior. Since my past 2 years, I was able to homestead. So this is the first time I really have to use the housing portal. And as a junior looking for senior year housing, it actually is a little bit more difficult than I was expecting it to be for somebody that is going to be a senior. So the housing portal has actually really helped me alleviate a lot of stress within this process to secure that I have somewhere to live senior year.
The Office of Student Life recommends keeping an eye out on your High Point email for reminders on the further details regarding the 2023-2024 housing process. Next up, Hannah Hutter takes a closer look at the woman in our media for Women's History Month. Hannah?
Thanks, Cassandra. Women's History Month is now in full swing, and this year we're celebrating the women in our media. It started as a week to celebrate the successes of women in March 1978 and continued to be a week-long celebration until Congress declared March Women's History Month in 1987. While this month is set aside to honor all women, the excitement of seeing our storytellers highlighted this Women's History Month makes us excited to hear who will be next. Coming up next on Q News, Riley Mannion takes us to the annual Day for HPU celebration on High Point's campus. Plus, Mary Sosby gives us a behind-the-scenes look at St. Patrick's Day Prep in Greensboro. And Danny Shea learned how a baseball fan made his dream a reality. All of this when we come back on Q News.
Welcome back to Q News. High Point University celebrated its annual Day for HPU yesterday with efforts to connect the students and community to their university. I spoke with students and faculty to learn why this day is so important to HPU. A Day for HPU happens annually, allowing students and alumni the chance to give back to their university, all while attending a day filled with free food, t-shirts, prizes, and more.
Day for HPU is a 24-hour event for giving back to the university. So the university goes above and beyond, I believe, for the students, faculty, and staff, providing so many opportunities and scholarships for everyone. And it's just a day to say thank you back to the university.
Senior class president Shreya Rana is one of the many people who are helping to get students and specifically seniors to give back to HPU, and mentioned that there is even some incentive to it.
Seniors should donate because they get to pick the office that has given them the most over the last 4 years. Also, if seniors donate to the campaign, they also have access to joining young alumni things, which are really, really cool and important. And also they get to join Senior Week, which is so cool. And you get to go to wine pairing nights. I heard there might be a beer pairing night. So if you're a senior watching this, you literally have to donate right now. What are you doing? Go donate.
So I chose to donate to High Point because I've had a really great 4 years here, and they've given me so much and so many opportunities that I figured the least I could do was give a little back to them.
As of Wednesday, March 15th, A Day for HPU has gained more than $500,000 of donations, and the number continues to grow through the senior campaign donations, as well as many other ways students continue to donate. To learn more about where you can donate to support your university, visit dayforhpu.highpoint.edu. Just a few days after we celebrate Day for HPU, we will be celebrating St. Patrick's Day. The city of Greensboro is known for its Irish festivities, and Mary Sosby was lucky enough to stop by and see how they celebrate. Mary?
Thank you, Riley. As he mentioned, people around the world will be celebrating the culture and history behind St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. And I was able to take a closer look into an event that may be of interest to HPU students and the surrounding community.
Greensboro is home to many local establishments, and they are preparing for a busy weekend ahead as St. Patrick's Day celebrations begin.
Right now, First National Bank Field is empty, but this Saturday, the streets and stadium will be packed for Otis and Wawa's St. Patrick's Fest and Bar Crawl.
Check-in and registration for the event will go from 12 to 3 p.m. at First National Bank Field. At this kickoff, live music including artist Michael Ray, games, and more will take place at the stadium. Over 10 local restaurants and vendors will be open for event participants, and I spoke with an HPU student who is going back for a second time.
I'm really excited to go back to the St. Patrick's Fest again this year. I went last year, bought a wristband and everything, did the whole crawl, and really excited to bring a bunch of my friends back this year.
Over 1,000 attendees are expected this year, and a portion of sales are going to Tiny Houses Greensboro, a nonprofit building homes for the homeless in the Greensboro and High Point communities.
Many of the businesses I spoke with said they're excited to bring a crowd to downtown Greensboro, especially because of the positive impact the event will be making on those in need locally. To purchase a ticket, visit otisandwawa.com, where you can also learn more about Tiny Houses Greensboro and what they're doing to expand their reach into High Point. Speaking of a group that's expanding their reach, Danny Shea joins us now with a story about a group of sports fans that have turned their passion into a business.
And it's every sports fan's dream to work for their favorite team one day. Back on Long Island, Darren Meenan took matters into his own hands and created one of the most successful brands in all of baseball. Growing up, baseball fans around the country dream of working for their favorite team or for the league in general. Darren Meenan did just that, and to say his brand, the 7 Line, does just one thing might be an understatement.
So we make apparel, we put together large group outings, we try to keep the fan base engaged. We do live shows each week from our podcast studio here on Long Island, and really just try to have a good time. So that's really it. If you're a fan of baseball, you're a fan of the Mets, hopefully you're a fan of the 7 Line.
Darren grew up printing t-shirts in his parents' basement in Queens. He decided one day to print a t-shirt that said, in quotes, "I survived," and wore it to a Mets game in 2009. And to say the least, that was a terrible year for the Mets. After that t-shirt's wild success, the 7 Line was born and has grown into one of the most popular brands, not just with Met fans, but fans around the country trying to bring a similar brand to their own team. When asked, Meenan did not think it would grow into what it has today.
When this whole thing started, it was never a big plan to have it turn into what it actually became. In the beginning, I really just wanted to find more ways to go to baseball games and how can I possibly fund that. So I started making t-shirts, and thankfully it caught on within the fan base.
Another thing that caught on with the fan base, the outings, maybe the most popular thing the 7 Line has to offer today.
We've put on almost 130 outings so far. So each season we'd like to do about a dozen. There's home ones and away ones. And the away ones are incredible because it brings people together from all over the country that just happen to like the Mets, and we all convene on one area. So we'll go to Kansas City and we'll have 1,500 people there to watch the Mets game, So it's really a fun time, and I think that keeping fans engaged and them having fun is really what brings them coming back. So
another way Darren likes to keep fans of the 7 Line engaged, his podcast, Orange and Blue Thing. And it's not about baseball as much as you may think it is.
The show is just as much about myself and my co-host Julia as it is about David Wright being in camp last week. People really watch the show because of maybe who we are and what we're about, rather than just being like Mets X's and O's, because I feel like that's kind of boring. I don't listen to that content. I don't watch that content. I'm not really a stats guy. I'm more of like, hey, let's have fun at the baseball game guy.
At the end of the day, the 7 Line is a brand made by a fan for the fans. Darren knows that, and that's what makes this brand so special. When asked what the 7 Line may look like 10 years from now, his response may surprise you.
I like that every year and every day is something different, and I like to keep it fresh. And as long as it's fun, I'll keep doing it, and hopefully the fans keep supporting it, because if the fans didn't support the 7 Line, then there would be no 7 Line.
The 7 Line is constantly coming out with new products and dates for their group outings. If you want to stay up to date on the group or take home some merchandise, you can check them out on social media at the 7 Line or on their website, the7line.com. That's all for us here at Q News this week. Don't go anywhere. Q Sports is up next.